I am going to tell you is about a very strange experience which my uncle had many years back. He was working in a morgue where dead bodies are kept, as attendant. It was nearing night and my uncle had to deliver a dead body to its family. So, he along with his two friends loaded the dead body into his ambulance and were on their way to deliver the dead body to its destination, when suddenly it started making movements by itself. Initially, my uncle thought that it was his imagination, as he and his friends had a lot of alcohol that night, but suddenly their joy turned into fear as the corpse sat up like a living human being and said to him and his friends, "Stop your ambulance here. I want to visit my home," and got down from the vehicle and told them all, including the driver, "I am going to visit my family members. Do not move from here, otherwise you all will be responsible for your death." He then visited a home in the area and came back and once again turned into a corpse as he laid back on the stretcher. The three went inside and asked about the man. They all said, "No one came inside. And where's our family member's corpse?" They became more frightened on hearing their statements. My uncle got so frightened that he resigned from the job. Till now, my uncle and his friends still think about this incident and still wonder what happened exactly that night and get scared to death on remembering that night, while remembering that dead man's face. Waiting for your comments and views on that night and this story. Experienced this when I was about 15 years old in 2014. It might seem a bit plain in comparison to other stories in here, but it's what I experienced and I wanted to share it. I used to live in a 2-story house in the outskirts of my city in India. A bit of geography before that: my house is in an area that was slightly remote at the time and hence, you'd find very few houses nearby. There's a road that passes by in front of my house and another road that intersects with it. In short, my house is located on one corner of a rectangular land. The other corners of land on the other sides of the intersection of roads were mostly empty, but there was also a park opposite my house. Since there were very few houses in and around us, there were lesser street lights in comparison to other places. Now, there was a street light at the intersection and the next street light was farther away, so it was actually dark along the road until you could find the next street light. And there was a huge tree along one of the intersecting roads, as tall as my house, which apparently was really old. My room was on the first floor in my house and the window from my room was directly in front of the streetlight, so one could see the intersection, the park opposite, the huge tree as well as further down the intersecting roads. Coming back to the story, like I said, I was 15 years old at the time and I was up at night studying for my exams. My study table was in front of the window facing the view that I mentioned before. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning and I was looking out of the window while studying. Mind you, I wasn't sleepy one bit and I was slightly restless because of the exams. At some point, I could see what looked like a little girl walking towards the intersection of roads. She seemed to be wearing this light-colored attire, but I couldn't say the exact color of it. And I couldn't see her face either since she was bending her head. So all I could say was that it was a girl because of the dress, a kid because she was short and looked like one. There was nothing outright scary exactly, but something about a kid walking alone slowly at 1 a.m. in the morning with a bent head was creepy enough. Now comes the creepier part. As she was approaching the crossing of the roads, she was naturally approaching the radius of the streetlight as well. But as she slowly made her way towards the light, she gradually disappeared as the light got stronger. I was flabbergasted and terrified at what I saw and instinctively just ran to my parents and slept for another week along with them. I told my parents about it and they dismissed it at first, but they're believers in such things as well. So the next day we talked to some old local villagers who had lived there for a while. According to one man, there was a house in the patch of land next to the huge tree at one point and a family and a little girl used to live there. Nobody knew what really happened, but one day all the family members, including the little girl, were found dead in their house. The place was demolished after that and nobody who knew the story dared to purchase that piece of land. I have no idea if it was a rumor, but I can definitely tell for sure that my mind wasn't playing tricks on me. Working at Food City in Mesa, Arizona was both mundane and chaotic. As a part-time employee, I had seen my fair share of strange occurrences within the store's walls. But nothing could have prepared me for the series of events that took place one fateful day. It was a typical afternoon shift and I was tasked with organizing the freezer section. As I was stacking boxes of frozen goods, I noticed a dark shadow moving swiftly across the back door. Curiosity got the best of me and I ran outside to catch a glimpse of the mysterious figure. But to my surprise, there was no one there. The pallets I had left outside completely blocked any possible escape route. I quickly called my manager to check if any other employee was in the back room with me. But the answer was a resounding no. I couldn't shake off the unnerving feeling that lingered in my mind for the rest of the day. As closing time approached, I was assigned to tidy up the aisles. That's when I saw her, a lady walking awkwardly towards me. But before she could reach me, she made a sharp left turn and disappeared into the shelves. I was frozen in fear and quickly made my way out of there, not daring to look back. I decided to call it a day and left the store in a hurry. Little did I know, my coworker had an even scarier encounter that day. He was upstairs checking on the stereo system for the music when he saw a little girl sitting on top of it. Without wasting a second, he ran out of there and never went back up again. Needless to say, the both of us were spooked beyond belief. We couldn't explain what we saw or experienced that day at Food City. But one thing was for sure, none of us wanted to be alone in that store ever again. And as I walked out of the store, I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets were hidden within those walls.